Hello, everyone. I am so excited to go live today. I have been looking forward to this for such a long time. I'm going to be talking with Love on the Spectrum's Jodi Rodgers, and I can't wait. Hi, everyone who's joining. Hi, welcome, welcome. I'd love to know if any of you have watched Love on the Spectrum yet, if you've watched the new season. I have been watching it and I've loved it. I watched it since season one. And Michael, I don't know if you remember Michael from season one, but he makes me think so much of my brother Barrett, Uncle B, as some of you know him. And I've just been loving this season. I think it's so great. Hey, Renee. Yes, love that show. I think that it's so great. And I'm super excited to talk with Jodi, which some of you might know who she is. She was a relationship counselor and I saw her on season one. I'm not all the way through this season yet, so I haven't seen her, but I know that she's also on Love on the Spectrum Australia, so I'm excited about that. So she hasn't joined us quite yet. I'm going to keep an eye out for her. I was just chatting with her in DMs, but let me know where you guys are joining from and let's see. Here she is. Know where you're joining from, and I'm super excited to start this conversation. And also let me know, how old is your child? I assume most of you who follow me have children on the autism spectrum, so I'd love to know. Hey, Jodi.
Right.
Hey, it's so nice to meet you. Thanks so much for joining us.
No worries. I'm really excited. I love your work.
Oh, thank you so much. I love yours. So I'm excited for this conversation. You are in Sydney, right? You're in Australia.
Yeah, I'm not in
No.
Sydney. I live in a small rural town, sort of maybe 9 hours from Sydney. But I was in Sydney yesterday, flying back to Sydney on Sunday. So just home for a couple of days.
Amazing. Well, we are working with quite the time difference. It's 3 p.m. here, and I think it's like 9 a.m.
Yeah,
your
no.
time. Early. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And I have really been looking forward to this. And I would love for you to introduce yourself. I kind of did a small intro before you hopped on, but for people who might not know who you are and what you do, can you share a little bit about your work and what you do for a living?
So, hi, I'm Jodi. In my day-to-day life, I'm a sexologist and relationship counsellor, a counsellor, and I specialise in making information or providing counselling and therapy in those specific areas to any person who kind of learns differently or communicates differently. So, my main client group are autistic people, people with cognitive disability or acquired brain injury, physical disabilities. So, yeah, the whole range. Just making sure that, those areas of our lives, sexuality and relationship counselling, is accessible to all
I
people.
love it so much. And I was sharing right before you hopped on. I remember seeing you in season one of Love on the Spectrum because, and we can talk about that in a second. But I just remember being like, what an amazing person that is able to support adults through this because I feel like there's no one who really does, or at least I haven't seen anyone. I feel like this is such a particular niche. I think it's amazing that you support adults, through this. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, I was a special ed teacher a long time ago. But to me, it became something that became really important because in my lifetime, I think that our relationships, and I'm not just talking about intimate sexual relationships, I'm talking about all of our relationships, is kind of a really important, almost integral part of what provides us with good mental health and well-being. And, it helps us stay connected and feel like we're in all of this together. And when I was working in high schools, I just realised that this was something that we weren't talking about. We weren't talking about adult type relationships. And particularly with sexuality and intimate relationships, it just seemed to be like, no, we're not talking about that area of life when it's so fundamentally important for
It's
people.
so true. And so, I mean, we know you from Love on the Spectrum, but you've been doing this for such a long time. So, yeah, share with us. I mean, it sounds, you said you've been doing this for 30 years. So, what was that process like of you being on Love on the Spectrum? I mean, did that change your whole profession or what happened?
So, I was just doing my day-to-day job, going to work, spending 6 to 7 hours with different people every single day, individual clients, and I do couples therapy as well. And the show started in Australia with our ABC television. So it was a very, small production company. And they asked me to be on the show. Originally, I actually had a lot of trepidation about that, because as a therapist, to be filmed doing your work, you're in a very vulnerable position. But also, as you would know, I'm sure lots of people who are listening in know, a great therapeutic relationship is based on a genuine relationship. And so to be filmed felt very foreign to me. But anyway, they talked me into it. I said yes. Yeah, and then, it just blew up and went global on Netflix. So yes, my life radically changed. I'm still doing counselling. I will never, ever, ever stop that, because that's where I get my joy from. But yeah, it's opened up so many wonderful opportunities for me.
That's so amazing. And I have an autistic brother. He's 28. He'll be 29 next month. And I just want to connect him to you so badly, because he wants love so much, and it's so hard, that social piece and being able to meet people. And so I need to connect him to you for sure.
More than happy to chat with him.
Well, so now you're writing a book. I actually have a copy right here. Tell us about it. It's called How to Find a Four-Leaf Clover.
Yeah.
And why did you name it that? First of all, I'm curious to hear a little bit of the reasoning behind it, and yeah, share more.
Um, well, the title comes from a story in the book, and it was basically a story that my grandfather told me when I was very, very young. And it's basically an analogy for the whole book, that my grandfather taught me how to find four-leaf clovers, actually. Here's a five-leaf clover. So just to show you that it's...
Oh, did I lose you? Can you hear me? Oh no. Oh, I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me? There it goes. There. We're back. We're back.
Brainstorm here, so it might have been that sort of got in the way. But my grandfather, when I was very, very young, taught me to find four-leaf clovers. But one of the things that he said to me in teaching me this was said to me, don't look for sameness. That's not where the magic is. Like, look for the difference. And it's in difference, it's in the different that is we get all the great stuff. That's where that's where you learn. So it's basically an analogy he taught me about, that being different is actually a great thing, and that I should keep my mind open to anybody or anything that is different in life, because that's where I would learn the most. So yeah, that's where the title came from.
I love that. And I mean, it's so true. I see so many people in the comments being like, yes, exactly. And I think that's such a great underlying theme just in life, but also specifically with autism, I think is such an important piece to understand. And I mean, I noticed the tagline you had on it said, what autism can teach us about difference, connection, and belonging.
Mm.
And so I haven't gotten to read it yet. I've kind of like dug in a little bit, but I'm so excited to read this. But can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek on what's on the inside?
It was really interesting writing for me, because you can only write from your own perspective and point of view, and I'm not an autistic person, and so I would never ever want to write about autistic people. So the book's really about what a lifetime of spending days with autistic people actually taught me about relationships with all people. It's taught me about how we, first of all, how we think and feel and experience emotions, how we communicate with one another, all the stuff that connects us together. So it's kind of an upside down book. People think that it's a book about autism, and while it is a book about autism, it's actually about what autistic people have taught me about life and the world, rather than it being a guide. It's not a guide to autism. It's a guide to really just saying, well, hang on, if we're curious about the way that other people perceive the world, if we really are open to that, then what lessons can it teach us about connecting and having much better and healthy relationships single person in our life.
That's beautiful. I'm so excited to dig into it. And I mean, it's funny. I mean, we had Valentine's Day yesterday, so, or at least yesterday for us.
We
Yeah.
had it too.
So it's kind of funny timing that we just happened to chat today, but I would love to hear like kind of two areas of advice that you might have. So number one, maybe the advice for someone like an autistic adult who is trying to start dating and trying to open up that area of their life. And then the other question of like for parents who have autistic children or maybe who are, I mean, adult
Yeah.
children who are looking to start dating or finding love, like what advice you have for the parent. So first the individual and then the parent.
Yeah. Nearly every single person that comes to see me, if they're saying, I'm looking for a boyfriend or I'm looking for a girlfriend, I don't start with the other person. I always start with thinking about ourselves, because to actually go out and date someone, you want to make sure that you're feeling really great about yourself. So it's really making sure that that person is, you know, their self-esteem is really great. They're really, really confident, that all areas in their life are really healthy and happy. Because when we are feeling good, that's when we attract the good. And for me, there's a lot of people that are left very vulnerable if they go into a dating scene going, I'm just desperate for, I always use that analogy, you know, never ever go shopping on an empty stomach,
Yeah.
because you'll always buy junk food. So that's exactly the same, you know. It's making sure that when you are dating, it's really important that people understand that it's just a relationship is like the icing on the cake.
Yeah. It's like the energy you put out, you attract as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then a lot of the stuff that we do when it's just about going out on a first date is really about the anxiety of that, because you know, we all experience anxiety with dating. But if you're a person that has any kind of social anxiety, or you find meeting people for the first time really, really complex and difficult, then you know, really working through the anxiety of dating, so it's not something that blocks you from doing that in your life. You've got to be very brave to get out there in the world. And so they're really the first things that I work on. And then it's all the other stuff that comes with it. For advice,
It's
parents, I always say to people, do they have a friend? Because I think a lot of us forget that we have to have foundational relationship skills that are developed over a lifetime to get out into dating. And intimate romantic relationships are very, very complex. They're really difficult. And so making sure, if somebody says, oh, I really want a boyfriend or I really want a girlfriend, that if I say to them, have you got a friend? You know, do you hang out with somebody? Have you got a reciprocal back and forth relationship where you hang out with a person, to make sure that that person's already practicing all of the things that we need to practice before we move into the complexity of having intimate romantic relationship.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. And I mean, for mine and my husband's relationship, friendship was the base of it. And I think being able to have a really strong foundation and how to practice that friendship, that is going to be like, for us, is a really strong foundation for our relationship to then have, you know, our marriage sitting on top of as well. So I totally hear what you're saying. And for, I mean, my relationship is certainly true as well.
Yeah.
But well, so you are on social media, you have your book. Tell us how people could connect with you, how they could support you, like where they can learn from you. What are the best ways to do that?
Well, I mean, I'm excited. I've got the book too.
Ooh,
Woo! Been pretty up.
I love the cover, by the
Oh,
way.
no, it's so beautiful. I cried when I first saw it. I just got to see it for the first time. But, you know, it's coming out first in the US. So it's going to be published internationally, but all of you get it first.
When does
So
it come
it'll be the
out?
20th.
Okay.
So my 21st, your 20th, it'll be out on the shelves, which is brilliant. And, you know, I hope people love it. But, you know, I had an autistic person. I've had many, many autistic people read the book, because that's, of course, very important. But somebody who had read it had put a review in Goodreads or one of those. It was an autistic woman, and she wrote, "This book makes me feel seen." And so, you know, I've won already, really, that if an autistic woman can say this book allowed her to be seen in the world, then that's a wonderful thing. But of course, people can connect with me through all the normal ways that we all connect with each other these days. I'm on Instagram and I don't know, all the other platforms that. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. I feel really privileged that, you know, that it's coming out in the US, and it is so beautiful. The book is so
It
incredible.
really is. I loved it. When I opened the package, I was like, "Oh, I love it." I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to be the person who judges a book by the cover, right? But it's beautiful. Well, I know, I mean, the families that I have that follow me and are in my membership, a lot of them are parents who have children who are kids or teenagers, but a lot of people who also follow me have, autistic adult children. And so I think you're really speaking to them and where they are right now, but also for the families that right now have a child. I think you're giving them a lot of hope to be able to see this.
This book is basically a book of
Yeah.
stories. Stories of experiences that I have had across a long lifetime with autistic people. So I have worked in early intervention.
Yeah.
I have worked as a support worker. The very, very first story in the book was when I was 18 years old, and it was the first autistic person I'd ever met in my life. Who she was 6 or 7, and was non-speaking, and it was in the relationship with her as an 18-year-old that I went, hang on a minute, I'm trying to connect from a Jodi perspective. And my relationship with her shifted everything in my life about how we connect with one another. So the book is filled with stories of children and adults and people in their 60s. It's the full lifespan, because life and our relationships are across a lifespan. They're not just about adolescence or adulthood, but from early childhood.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I mean, what you're saying is it's a great read for anybody. And so I
Um, a mum of an autistic child actually called me the other day because she'd read a chapter in the book, and she said, "Thank you so much for putting in there about an experience of being judged as a parent for having an autistic child." And so, you know, it's not a book about sex. It's a book about our relationships and how we each move through the world with a very unique perspective and point of view, and that if we just take the time to be curious about one another and really try and understand one another, what that can actually do for our relationships, but also what it can teach us about being, you know, good people, great people. But so yeah, it's really for everyone.
love it. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to dig in, and I know a lot of people were really excited that I was chatting with you today, and I've been really looking forward to this. So we'll have to touch base another time. I'll have to have you on my podcast,
Yes.
and I feel like you have so much to share that we could talk about. I think it would be a great time.
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to join you
That would be
anytime.
so fun. Well, I'll we can touch base about that, and I'll be sure to share to everyone else. So, anything else that you'd like to add or share before we hop off?
Um, I just really hope everybody enjoys it. It is not a textbook. It is not academic. I mean, my lifetime, I'm trying to uphold the right for everybody to get accessible information. So, you know, this is a book it's just short stories. You could literally pick it up at any point and just read a snippet of a short story. So I just hope anybody who buys the book, you know, loves it, enjoys it. At the beginning of the book, I say, "Oh, you won't find everything in here life changing, but I hope you find one thing that you didn't know before and one thing that you can act upon." So, you know, my hope is that anyone who reads it might just look a little bit differently when somebody is doing something that they don't understand, and just take the time to be more compassionate and understanding and accepting of other people's differences.
That's I mean, I think a beautiful takeaway. And for me, I mean, my brother Barrett, who's on the spectrum, he's totally changed my life. And that way, it gives you a whole different empathy and understanding. And I believe that I'm a better dietitian because I'm able to support my clients with that empathy and understanding that I've learned from him. And so I think you're spot on with what you're saying. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks everyone for joining us. I love this conversation, love getting to know you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. You have the whole day looking forward to you. We're wrapping up over here.
Have a
Thanks.
lovely evening over there in the US. I have never been to the US, so I'm telling you, it is so high up on my bucket list to get there. I spend a lot of time just Googling, places in the US to get to.
I'm in Boulder, Colorado, but come to Denver. I also saw Temple Grandin is one of the people who reviewed your book, and she's in Colorado as well. So maybe you should come visit both of us.
I will come anywhere. I will be.
Incredible. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jodi. It was so nice to meet you.
So lovely to meet you too. And I do really, really love your work.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
That means so much to me. It really does. I appreciate it. All right. Thanks so much. Good luck with the book launch. I can't wait. February 20th, right? Here in the US.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.